What's good? It's your boy Fanon. All right, let me tell you, man. I'm going to talk about Daniel Jacobs and Jermall Charlo. And Daniel Jacobs, who I have really tried my best to be a fan of, is an absolutely delusional man. I listened to, saw an article after I watched a video by Muy Boring. Shout out to my man for a very, very good video that I listened to this morning when I woke up. And make sure I give you the right name. Muy Boring 74. If you're not familiar with his channel, check him out. Very good channel. Pointed me to an article that said Jacob says Hearn will offer a 90-10 split to Jermall Charlo. Now, I read this right after I read how Daniel Jacobs and Deverenchenko did on HBO, which was an average audience of 500,000 people on HBO. It peaked at 553,000. Average 500,000. And explained it showed again why HBO's getting out of boxing with guys like Danny Jacobs fighting there. Daniel Jacobs did $300,000 views less against than he did against Selecki. It's just an absolutely terrible performance on HBO as far as people showing any type of interest in Daniel Jacobs. And to say that you're trying to ask for a 90-10 split with Jermall Charlo is bananas. But let me go through what he said. This is when you call this, now he joking or not joking, right? Because I know people say, well, he was just playing. I'm not the type of person that believes that. I believe what people are saying, man. It's flat out. If it comes out your mouth, there's some truth to it, at least in your mind. So what he says is, what Daniel Jacobs said was, Eddie said 90-10. The feud we're having is building. He's fighting with Monroe next. He has to look good. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about that in the near future. And then he goes down. Let's move down a little bit. And he says, I want that fight. That's a fight that's been building for some time now. But we also have management and promotions that are going to get bigger and better fights that make sense for my career. Daniel Jacobs Daniel Hollywood Jacobs is tripping. First of all, who is better for his career other than Canelo Alvarez? And even with Canelo Alvarez, with Canelo Alvarez now on DAZN and Canelo Alvarez not fighting it's not a pay-per-view. It's not fighting on a mechanism where a lot of people are going to watch Canelo Alvarez's fights. At least that's not a guaranteed thing. It's not like he's going to be getting a pay-per-view fight against Canelo Alvarez. Even if it was on HBO and even if it was as big, there's no guarantee, not even close to a guarantee, that Canelo Alvarez is going to fight Daniel Jacobs. I would be very, very, very surprised if Canelo Alvarez fought Daniel Jacobs. I would bet on a rematch, a third fight with Gennady Golovkin in a minute before a rematch with Daniel, a fight with Daniel Jacobs. But there you go. That's the Eddie, but the 90-10 split. Even to talk about a 90-10 split with Jermall Charlo is bananas. Jermall Charlo is the dude that has at least a growing fan base. Daniel Jacobs has a declining fan base. Daniel Jacobs just fought in what is it, a 5,000 seat arena, and did 500,000 views on HBO. Now HBO it's a premium network, but it's a network where there's a lot of people subscribe to it. So to have that low a number, how many people are actually going to go over there to DAZN and sign up to DAZN to see Daniel Jacobs fight? Daniel Jacobs versus Demetrius Andrade. The fights that should happen are Demetrius Andrade, Daniel Jacobs. What are the chances of that fight happening? From what I see, slim and none. Slim and first of all, because they actually have a connection in that I think Andre Rozier is the trainer. He's a trainer of Daniel Jacobs, and I believe he's the godfather of Demetrius Andrade. So there's that issue right there. But even then, even if it wasn't, even if that wasn't the case, I just do not believe that Eddie Hearn would put those two guys in the ring together with one another, because even if they number one, even if they have the belts, Demetrius Andrade versus this is how, man, this is how lackluster those two fights are, because of the decisions that those guys have made in their career. I think a Demetrius Andrade versus Daniel Jacobs fight, even though it is clearly would be two of the best middleweights in the world, would still be in that 5,000 seat arena in New York City. That's how pitiful a job Eddie Hearn does of selling fighters. How do you have a New York fighter, and you can't sell 5,000? You can't sell more than 5,000 tickets for a fight with a New York fighter in New York City. But yet, you think you're going to offer a 90-10 split with Jermall Charlo? Now, Jermall Charlo is not quite he's not on the level of Errol Spence or Mikey Garcia yet, from what I can see. But that's primarily has to do with the fact that these cats are just openly ducking this dude at this point in time, man. It's a complete and utter shame, man. But Daniel Jacobs, man. I don't see but hey, I'll tell you, man, they got, from what this article says, man, the dude got good money, and again shows why HBO got up out of boxing. They paid $3 million for that for the fight. Towards the purses for the fighters. So Danny Garth can see why Daniel Jacobs is feeling good about himself, man. The dude got a really good payday. I'm sure after he takes Eddie Hearn's cut out of there and whatever training cuts he has out of there, he still have made a pretty penny, man. But the thing that gets me about these fighters, about this situation, is that this Daniel Jacobs would get so much more credibility from fighting Jermall Charlo and fighting Demetrius Andrade and beating those guys, then he would get chasing guys that don't believe they have any reason to fight him. Canelo Alvarez, and I've been a Canelo Alvarez fan for a long time. I've been very supportive of Canelo. Alvarez. I don't see Canelo Alvarez fighting Daniel Jacobs. I don't see Canelo Alvarez fighting Jermall Charlo. I see Canelo Alvarez fighting Gennady Golovkin another time, or just coasting out that DAZN contract, but pretty much just coasting out that DAZN contract, fighting a bunch of guys, I think, as people call them, Euro bums. I don't usually use that term, but if Rocky Fielding wasn't 5 inches taller than him and a weight class up, probably 2 weight classes up, because honestly, man, Rocky Fielding, as big as he is, looks like he could probably fight at a light heavyweight. If it wasn't for that size issue, there would be absolutely no interest in that fight. I mean, there's no interest in that fight right now, man. But I guess that's what you're getting with DAZN, man. DAZN is having a bunch of fights that nobody so far. And I'm waiting to see when are they going to move on to making a big fight that everybody wants to see. Demetrius Andrade versus Walter was not a fight that a bunch of people wanted to see. Rocky Fielding versus Canelo as far as Demetrius Andrade goes, maybe there's a lot of people that want to actually see Demetrius Andrade fight. I don't think there are, but if there was a reason to watch that, that's why there would be a reason to watch that. So far, the best situation with DAZN has been not DAZN, was the World Boxing Super Series, but I don't think that the fight with Usyk and Gassiev and that, I don't think that was on DAZN. I think that was still before they signed it. So, man, this is just not looking good for boxing, man. Daniel Jacobs is out of his mind if he thinks that a 90-10 split, even saying that just tells me I'm not fighting that guy, you know? And it is what it is, man. We'll see what happens, but Daniel Jacobs is out of his mind, man. I'm actually feeling like, you know, that it's just not the best. That dude does not make the best decisions. And from what I can see, it doesn't seem like that dude is making the best decisions in his career, man. There's plenty money to have and plenty good fights to be made where he was before he switched over to Eddie Hearn. And because even though there are not, you know, the belts are now over there with Matchroom. Two of the middleweight belts are over there. Let's see if they actually fight one another and get a chance to unify, or whether they try to coast it out for paychecks. And if he's coasting it out for paychecks, hey man, so be it. But you know, that's just not very impressive to me. But anyway, with that, I'm out. Peace.